At Janamejaya's sacrifice, millions of serpents begin falling into the flames, driven by their mother's curse. Adi Parva, Book 1, Chapter 47. In the previous chapter, Janamejaya learned from his ministers how Takshaka bribed the healer Kashyapa to turn back, then killed King Parikshit through deception. Grief hardened into resolve, and now Janamejaya acts on that resolve. Having spoken his intent before his assembled ministers, the illustrious king, Janamejaya, son of Parikshit and tiger of the Bharata line, solemnly took his vow to perform the Sarpa Satra, the great serpent sacrifice. He then summoned his Purohita, the royal ritual officiant, and the other officiating priests, and addressed them with words of purposeful weight. That wicked Takshaka slew my father. Tell me, all of you, how I may repay him for that deed. Is there any means by which I may cast Takshaka and his kin together into a blazing fire? As he once burned my father with the fire of his venom, so do I wish to burn that sinful serpent. The priests replied, O king, there exists a great sacrificial rite ordained by the devas themselves for precisely this purpose. It is known as the Sarpa Satra and is spoken of in the Puranas. The masters of those sacred lores declare that you alone are the destined performer of this rite, none other, and we ourselves possess full knowledge of the ritual. When he heard this, Janamejaya felt in his heart as though Takshaka had already entered the blazing mouth of the sacred fire. He turned to the Brahmins and said, I shall undertake this rite. Let the necessary materials be assembled. Those officiating priests, all learned in the sacred texts and highest in their wisdom, duly measured out the ground for the sacrificial enclosure, following every proper injunction. The enclosure was richly appointed and abundantly furnished, attended by throngs of Brahmins, filled with wealth and grain, and well arranged by the priests throughout. When the sacrificial ground had been properly constructed, they initiated the king for the performance of the Sarpa Satra. But even at the very outset, before the rites had properly begun, a portent arose, one that foreboded obstruction to the sacrifice. While the ground was still being prepared, the master builder, skilled in Vastu, the sacred knowledge of sight and space, gave voice to a warning. He, who was both the Sutradhara, master of the measuring cord, and a Sutta versed in the Puranas, spoke plainly. From the place and the time at which this measuring was set in motion, this sacrifice will not reach its completion. A Brahmin shall be the cause of that. Hearing this, even before his formal consecration, the king called to his doorkeeper, Let no one unknown to me enter here. Then the rites of the Sarpa Satra commenced in proper order, and the officiating priests moved about faithfully in their appointed duties. Clad in dark garments, their eyes reddened by the smoke, they offered oblations with the prescribed mantras into the blazing fire. Striking dread into the hearts of all serpents, they called them forth and poured them as offerings into the mouth of the flames. The serpents came. They fell into the blazing fire, writhing miserably, calling out to one another. Some thrashed and hissed. Others coiled and then plunged, head first, tail first, into the bright flames. White ones, black ones, and blue ones, old and young alike, all screamed with terrible cries as they fell. In this manner, hundreds of thousands, millions, and tens of millions of serpents were destroyed, helpless and beyond all rescue. Some among them were as vast as the Indura serpent, others as thick as an elephant's trunk, and yet others as enormous in body as maddened elephants. Serpents of every size and color, swollen with fierce venom, thick as iron clubs, biting savagely. All of them fell into the fire, driven by the binding force of their mother's curse. With the sacred fire lit, the ground consecrated, an omen of incompletion spoken aloud and ignored, and serpents falling in their millions. This chapter sets the full weight of the Sarpa Satra in motion. In the next chapter, the officiating priests are named. Takshaka flees to Indra's realm seeking refuge, and Vasuki, watching his kin perish in the fire, pleads with his sister to send their son Astika before the rite consumes him as well. The journey continues in the next chapter.